Hey there, this is Mario from shockingfit.com, and in this video I have a very special topic for you, and that is the topic of commitment, the science of commitment, and how to change your life. So why do we get distracted so much when we try to achieve the most important things in life? So why do we get distracted from just achieving a very specific goal, like I don't know, losing weight, starting your own business, and all these things that we know are good for us, but we still fall off track? Well, according to the research, it really comes down to the lack of commitment. And that lack of commitment is primarily caused by the way we set the goal in the first place. And you might have gone through different kinds of methods of setting goals. I mean, there's a bunch of them out there, like ranging from Brian Tracy, Anthony Robbins, like Think and Grow Rich stuff, like The Secret, stuff like from Arnold Schwarzenegger, where he says like, hey, visualize the goal, visualize your biceps exploding and all these things. And you might be thinking, hey, that's a really good way. And there has been some success with that, but according at least to the research in the last couple of decades, it might not be the most effective way to reach your goals. So there was a study done in 2001 that actually studied commitment. And the study is called Self-Regulation of Goal Setting, done by Gabriele Oettingen. She's the author of the book called Rethinking Positive Thinking. I'm going to actually leave the whole study link and the book link in the description below, so you can check that out later. I highly recommend checking out that book. So in the study, they took 136 participants. They divided them into 3 groups. And the group 1 was a group that did the classic positive thinking about a goal, right? They visualized the outcome. They thought about how well they will feel, how good they would feel when they reach a goal, either lose weight, start their own business, travel the world, or whatever their goal was. They were just focused on the positive outcome, right? The group 2 was instructed to think about the negative consequences, like of the reality, right? What is the reality right now? Why do you want to change? Like, put some leverage on yourself, something like Anthony Robbins calls like when that pain of remaining the same is bigger than the pain of change, right? Then you want to change. And that's a really good technique as well. But the group 3 did the most effective technique, and that group did something called mental contrasting. So the mental contrasting technique, the way it worked is basically they gave them instructions to first visualize the outcome. So first think about how you're gonna feel when you lose weight or whatever your goal is. Think about the fantasy. Like, the longer you think about the fantasy, the better. But then after you've kind of visualized the goal ending completely, then think about the reality and contrast these two things, right? And the group 3 was found to have the most success out of all 3 groups, and they were the most actionable ones. They took the actions first, they had the most clearest plans, and they did the most action as long as they thought their goals were achievable. So what this study tells us basically is that it's no longer taught as the most effective way just to visualize and just to positively think about our goals. And a lot of us, I know, maybe watched the movie The Secret or read some stuff about law of attraction, and we're just like, yeah, you want to attract that positive energy in your life. Like, don't think about anything negative. And that's what most people think. Like, that's how you achieve your goal. Basically, be positive. Just think about achievement, think about the positivity part. But in reality, we need the mental contrasting model. So the way it works, the mental contrasting model, basically a little bit more in depth. So step 1 is to visualize completely. Visualize your ideal future. Visualize where you want to be. And once you visualize that, and normal techniques stop at that point, but with the mental contrasting, you're actually adding a second step, which is thinking about the reality of things. So this is very painful. This is not very easy to do because it draws a lot of negative emotion with it, because you can be very, very far away from your goal. Imagine you want to lose 50 pounds and start your own business, and then you don't even have money to pay your rent, right? That's a strong reality check right there. And there's a gap being created by where you want to be. You're creating a gap. So this is where I want to be, and this is where I am right now, and that gap can be massive, and most people can't handle such a big reality check. And what that reality check does, and just simply focusing on that reality check, what the study found is that people who kind of accept how hard the process is going to be and do it anyway and commit to doing it anyway have a much better time and have much more success than people who thought it's going to be easy and remain positive and ignored parts of the process, right? By doing so, right? By being just positive and ignoring the negative reality and the negative situation, you're not really thinking about, okay, what can I do? Like, what are the 5 main obstacles that I can do? Like, I don't know, simply like changing my environment when it comes to weight loss, or signing up to a gym that is nearby and things like that. People weren't thinking about the reality, about the real actionable steps. So in the mental contrasting model, basically you're thinking about that gap and how you can narrow that gap between the reality and that ideal future. So that's the most effective way you can set your goals, because you're actually not giving your brain any excuses, because it's very realistic. Okay, so I have an outcome, I have the reality, and that gap between, in psychology, it's called the necessity to act. So when you give your conscious and subconscious mind all the reasons why there's obstacles and all the reasons why you need to do that and how you can do that, what happens is very magical, because your brain will start giving you ways how to achieve that, and it's a lot easier to commit to actually doing and to achieving that goal. You're going to commit to an action plan. So I mean, it's looking very straightforward, right? You just do the mental contrasting thing, but the mental contrasting thing is not for everybody, because people are not ready to face the reality. And this is really the harsh truth. I mean, a lot of people will just live in that fantasy, right? Be positive. Think about all the positive things that I could be doing, and think about all that mental masturbation of all the things that I could be doing in my life, like, I don't know, let's get a GoPro and travel the world, and you might be having a bunch of buddies around you and they're like, yeah, let's do that. And everybody's just adding on to that fantasy. But without that reality check, that's not going to be something actionable. That's not going to happen. And without the reality check is something we naturally avoid, because that reality check, it drags a little bit of negative emotions, right? I mean, if you think about it, you don't want to be like kind of that party pooper guy who does the reality check and everybody's like, yeah, dude, fuck you, you ruin the fantasy, right? Because most people, they want to live in that fantasy, and trust me, that fantasy is not going to lead anywhere. I've been there. I've been fantasizing. I still get caught up sometimes in just thinking about all the things that I could be doing. And that moment where you do the reality check, it can even be very depressing and even very stressful, because it might be so many things that you have to do that you might feel overwhelmed. Like that some goals are so far away that you might be feeling so overwhelmed that you don't even know where to start. And that's why this is really, really difficult. And it was difficult for me, and it's difficult for most people, that if you have really big goals, it's gonna be hard. But again, if you accept the reality, and if you accept that it's going to be hard, and if you actually start working on finding the solution, how to narrow that gap between the reality and that ideal future, you can do it. And all it takes, summarize again, like basically think about the goal, visualize the goal, get fired up, get motivated, think about the reality, think about the gap, how you can narrow it down, and just go and do that. So that's the technique. Hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you find this helpful in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to click subscribe below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.